Bring in Dan Arbell. He's the former deputy chief of mission at the Embassy of Israel in Washington, D.C., and scholar in residence at American University. He joins us now live from Rockville in Maryland. Dan, good to have you on the show. So aside from what we're seeing out in the streets of Israel, we're also seeing an increasing number of public statements from officials come out against these reforms. We know that President Herzog has tried to offer a compromise deal. The defense minister came out and criticized it. He's now lost his job. And earlier on Sunday, Israel's consul general to New York, he's resigned. What do you think this is going to do for the political stability of the prime minister?
First of all, we're seeing unprecedented scenes from the streets of Israel, never seen before, where thousands of Israelis are taking to the streets and are protesting the Netanyahu government's handling of these issues. Right now, the issue is to stop the legislation or to bring it to a halt. That's what Defense Minister Gallant called for and was fired over it. That upset many Israelis because Gallant cited security reasons for the need for why the reform needs to stop, at least temporarily, and that was not accepted. And so right now, the next step should be trying to work out an arrangement in which the legislation is stopped, and then a dialogue should begin between the government and the opposition to try and reach an agreed framework for perhaps a reform or constitutional changes, but they're with a broadly agreed base of support. Right now, that doesn't exist because it was one-sided, with one side, the government, trying to impose it on everyone else. So I think dialogue is the most important thing right now.
I mean, obviously there's a risk of sort of upsetting the balance within the Netanyahu coalition. How likely do you think that Benjamin Netanyahu is open to the idea of dialogue and compromise?
He has not been open to it until now, but I think he's reached a moment of truth where he'll have to make a decision. And realizing that he may be losing the country, as you have seen thousands of people in the streets and not planning to move anywhere, and are going to protesting his moves. So I think that what's happening in the recent hours is perhaps making him realize that he needs to start a dialogue, something that he's not been very much in favor until now.
Do you think that the Netanyahu that we're seeing today is the same Benjamin Netanyahu that we saw perhaps maybe a decade ago?
Definitely not. It's a different man. A man that has changed tremendously and has been motivated by his personal desire to get out of his criminal trial. And that's what motivates him to advance this reform. And it seems that he's being led and is not leading, and is trying to rally his base in support of this policy that does not necessarily serve Israel's strategic interests.
Dan Arbell, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us here on TRT World. It's a pleasure speaking with you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you.